Sometimes, on holidays, I would make my way to the center, the local gathering point of the swarms that infest this urban mess. I'd sit idly on the train, avoiding the stares of my vile neighbors. They always stared. The center was the city's watering hole, the mothership for the city's alienated society. Every form of clique and group would congregate to the building, and so naturally I would stroll, almost strut, from shop to shop. Though it was hardly a stroll so much as a series of innumerable miseries, humiliations, and resentments. I used to wriggle along like an eel, continually moving aside to make way for the general populace. This was a continual, intolerable humiliation at the thought that I was a mere fly in the eyes of all this world. A nasty, disgusting fly. More intelligent, more highly developed, more refined in feeling than any of them, of course, but still a fly. Why did I go to the center? I don't know. I simply felt drawn there at every possible opportunity. Perhaps it was the officer. It was there I could admire him to the full. He, too, turned out of his path for men and women of higher rank, and he, too, wriggled between them like an eel. But people like me, or even slightly above, he simply walked over. He made straight for them, as though there was nothing but empty space before him, and never, under any circumstances, turned aside. I hated him, and always resentfully made way. It gave me endless torment. Why is it me and not him? There's no regulation about it. There's no written law. Let the making way be equal, as it usually is when refined people meet. And lo and behold, a bright idea dawned upon me. What, I thought, if I meet him and don't move aside? What if I don't move aside on purpose, even if I knock up against him? How would that be? This audacious idea took such a hold on me that it gave me no peace, and I purposely went more frequently to the center in order to vividly picture how I should do it. At last I made up my mind completely. To begin with, I should need to be looking rather more decent, and so I had to think of my clothing. If there were any sort of public scandal, and the public there is most bourgeois, from the businessmen making deals to the tourists from neighboring lands, even the thugs were of the upper-class variety, I must be well dressed. That inspires respect and of itself puts us on an equal footing in the eyes of society. I had ready a good shirt, a fine overcoat, elegant trousers. My shabby shoes were the only thing that held me back. I had to change the shoes at any sacrifice. For this purpose I began to visit the more refined shoe shops around the center. Yet each pair I tried failed to reach the necessary caliber. Only the highest quality would suit to face my opposition, my nemesis. At last I settled upon a fine pair of masculine boots, footwear to crush and dominate. In this way everything was ready. My attire was clean and crisp. I had timed the encounter for the optimum number of people to witness the event. I had perfected my stride for maximum speed, control, and elegance, every step an exercise in sheer precision. And of course I had memorized his usual routes. It seemed as though we should run into each other directly. But I must confess that after many efforts I began to despair. Before I knew what I was doing, I'd stepped aside for him again, and he had passed without noticing me. That night I was ill again, feverish and delirious. And suddenly, it ended most happily. I had decided to give up, and returned to the center for the last time to wave farewell to my fatal plan. When I found myself on a collision course with the officer, here it was. One last opportunity. There was no escape now. 3 paces from my enemy, I made up my mind. I closed my eyes, and we ran. I did not budge an inch, and passed him on a perfectly equal footing. I had attained my object. I had kept up my dignity. I had not yielded a step, and I had put myself publicly on an equal social footing with him. I returned home, feeling that I was fully avenged for everything.